Good evening. We are T minus 17 days until Florida election results 2018. Like and subscribe, and I'm going to give a brief overview on the elections that are affecting our state here in Florida. And it's going to be based on my analysis is based on South Florida. If you are seeing something a little bit different, put it in the comments section below. But again, like and subscribe. And again, we are 17 days out. I'm going to start with the Senate race. And the first ad I'm going to talk about is the I'm the better man argument. And this closing ad is done by one Mr. Rick Scott, governor of the state of Florida. The governor's new ads are basically, hey, we've been here for the hurricane. We've done all these good things. And the best thing my opponent can do is complain about some old news. And I wear a Navy hat. And on the Bill Nelson side, kind of feels like a boxer who's a champ, who's kind of run out of gas. Not spending as much money. The best ad he can do is rehashing the HCA fraud investigation and fines from decades before. The argument was put to bed in 2010 when Rick Scott won election to the governor's mansion. Former governor Charlie Crist tried it in 2014, and they're trying it again in 2018. Look, most Floridians have basically said, his company made some mistakes. He was not personally fined. His company was fined. They've moved on from it. And if you're reusing that, the third election in a row, there's a state of insanity. That's sort of the Bill Nelson and Friends ad right now, is bringing up that insanity. And I don't believe the ad is working. Now, in different parts of the states, maybe they're trying something else. Bill Nelson is still doing the introduction ads, which for a guy who's been in government for 30 plus years is kind of weird. And the fact that Rick Scott got so much press and got on TV so much and didn't have to pay much for it, and Bill Nelson didn't, I think he's sort of a drag on his ticket. So as a fighter, he's hoping for draws in a round because draws usually go to the champ. But if I had to predict it, Governor Scott is going to be our next senator. Now, in Congressional District 25, I don't think there's going to be a late push by Democrats. I think they're going to start pulling out of that race, and Mario Diaz-Balart will easily win re-election. In 26, this is the I've got matches, you've got gasoline, let's burn this motherfucker down. Carlos Curbelo has tried the I'm a nice guy approach, and I imagine that those ads are going to get nastier, and he's going to pull his ads and let the NRCC roll with more Debbie is a scumbag ads. On Debbie's side, basically her closing argument is her daddy was shot to death, and Carlos Curbelo keeps putting guns in people's hands. So it is a race to the nuclear button. And it's that way because it is closer than most people thought it would be. The district is leaning Democrat. Carlos has been ahead every step of the way. And the Democrats, they want to win this seat. And they want to get one of the three. They are struggling because in 27, Donna Shalala is looking like the giant mistake that I predicted in June. Does not speak Spanish, keeps making mistakes. This week, while Barbara Lee, who's a congresswoman who, not understanding your clientele, Donna, when she said we should take a minute to praise Fidel Castro when he died, and you took a check, and originally you were going to have her come to your fundraiser, and you took a check, and you didn't give it back, and it's for $2,000. You would think that when you took that $50,000 check from Nev Shapiro, that you would have learned that maybe you have to give the money back, maybe you have to donate it. Nope, you still kept the check. You're taking a bath on it. And she is trying to do the No More Mr. Nice Guy ad by coming out and swinging against Salazar and basically saying Salazar is like a Trump puppet. I don't think the ad's working very well. Salazar, on the other hand, is doing the introduction ads. I don't think introduction ads necessarily work at this stage, but this is a race the Democrats should have won. The NRCC, which is the National Republican Congressional Committee, is moving money from Colorado, which they've basically given up on one of the congressman's reelections, and they're pumping $1.5 million into Salazar. Republicans smell blood. They smell they're going to keep this seat, and I think they are. Now, in the governor's race, normally Andrew Gillum would have not have done as much on the hurricane than even what his title said. Basically, the mayor of Tallahassee is a glorified commissioner. They have a city manager form of government. City manager handles most of the issues. But because of 2016, where there was issues when it came with power and not getting help from FPL, and Republicans basically put him into the corner of, if you say, well, it wasn't my responsibility, you're a paper tiger, and why would we elevate you to governor when you weren't really a mayor? And if you take responsibility for it and say, oh, we're going to do better this time, then you're stuck defending your home turf. And that's basically what happened. Hasn't spent a lot of money and hasn't done a lot of TV ads, at least down here in South Florida. And that was the case back in the primary. Now, he did obviously spend money in that last week, and maybe he will do it again. And maybe he'll use the inspirational ads, sort of the Obama inspiration ads, and the Gillum rose in that last week. But it has sort of taken a pounding. The fact that he's not on TV as much has been some complacency when it comes to absentee ballots. And granted, Republicans tend to vote a little bit more in absentee ballots, but again, Broward and Dade County, Republicans will vote more absentee in Broward and Scooby and Dade than they will in Broward. Democrats will lead that. Other than the area that was hit by Michael, they are the lowest return rates right now. Is the big three here in the liberal corridor, and where they are strongest is in Southwest Florida, from Monroe, Collier, all the way up to Sarasota, and everything in between. If that holds up, that's a good sign for Republicans. They don't have to get as much out of same-day voting or early voting. Of course, they are praying for rain on Sunday to sort of diminish Democratic turnout on the weekends, but not a great sign for Andrew Gillum if he doesn't spend some more money on the ads. Now, his Republican opponent, Ron DeSantis, is running what I refer to as, and I think is an official term, is the spouse ad. And it gets that name for a reason. Younger candidates, especially husbands, will, in the end of their campaign, put on their wife and have her do the ad. Her do the sort of an introduction ad, but basically, here's why my husband is competent. And both sides do it. It's not a Republican thing. Obama had Michelle Obama do an ad back in 2004 for the Illinois Senate race. It's a closing argument race. And basically, this one is, my husband was poor, he worked his ass off, he got degrees from Harvard and Yale, he didn't take the corporate job, he went into the military, he went over to Iraq, legal work, but went into Iraq, and he's ready to serve, he's a father, he's great. It's a good closing argument ad. It helps when you have young people in the ad who are aesthetically pleasing. If I was Andrew Gillum, I would be doing my own ad with my wife. I think it's a good ad to do. If I had to make a bet on the race right now, I would say Gillum is probably going to pull 1 or 2 points higher. But again, the returned ballots do seem to be in the Republican hands right now. Early voting starts Monday, and Democrats usually win the early vote. Republicans usually win absentee ballot. And same-day election, it usually goes to Democrats if it's not rainy and Republicans if it's rainy. So we'll see. Like and subscribe below. And again, if you're seeing something different in your neck of the woods, let me know.